Just giving it a moment. Going live. There it is. Okay. Just making sure my stream is live, so I have my stream playing. So before I get started here, N.A.R. means National Association of Realtors. So that's the header on the video here. And I'm opening something else. Just giving it a moment for people to jump on if they can. In fact, now that I know this one's playing, I'm gonna do a Facebook Live, I guess. Okay. All right, well, let me put a title on this one. Does N.A.R. What I call this one? Have the right to control a realtor's personal life? Question mark. Okay, so we're going to start this one. Okay. So should be live on Facebook too, just in case one stream comes down. Oop. Am I still live? I'm still live. Should be live on everything right now. Okay. All right, well, I'm going to have to get started here while I have a moment. And I ended up firing a Facebook Live as well. Just wanted to give people a chance to chime in if they can. So whoever's joining, great. This was something I had recorded earlier, but because I don't know if I have the right to share those documents, I decided not to publish said video. So I will reiterate some of it here. And that's in regards to whoever follows me on the socials. You might have seen me put up late last night and a follow-up this morning that the National Association of Realtors, that's what N.A.R. stands for, they updated their code of conduct or code of ethics, including their standards of practices, to include what is called hate speech. And that's what this is going to be about, because based on their implementation thereof, yours truly might have his days as a professional broker numbered. And it's a sad reality of things, and that's what I'm here to chime in on. So for those of you joining on Facebook Live, thank you. If I'm going to share anything on the screen, it's going to be on YouTube Live. So if you're on YouTube, great, thank you. But for now, since the things I'm going to go over with briefly are not something that I don't know if I could share, I'll just speak in generalities over some of the items that are in question as to what is going on. So I present the question to the National Association of Realtors. Do you have the right to control a realtor's personal life? And the answer should automatically be no, but apparently they think that they do. And they try to justify their position as to why it is. First off, What are the code of ethics? The code of ethics are the code of conduct or standard of practices that us professionals as realtors must abide by. Now, just to be clear, it's realtor, not realtor. There's no A in between the L and the T, folks. So when we use that title, realtor, realtor means realtor is basically a copyright or a trademark title that we professionals have to pay for permission to use. So it's like a license to get. Okay. So realtor, if someone claims that they're a realtor and they're not paying association dues, they are not realtors. That doesn't mean they don't work in real estate. It just means they can't use that name. So I'm a part of 3 different unions. My local chapter, which is the Pacific West Realtors, my state, which is California Association of Realtors, and then the National Association of Realtors. And the standards policy is basically set at the national level. The Code of Ethics and Professional Standards policies were approved by the National Association of Realtors Board of Directors November 13th, 2020, and it states as follows. A realtor shall be subject to disciplinary action under the Code of Ethics with respects to all of their activity. All of their activity. Now, just to be a little more specific, there's what is called a frequently asked questions on the California Association of Realtors. The legal team posted this up because some of the members had questions. So they try to answer it as best they can, but let's just, this is what they adopted, the N.A.R. This is what they adopted. Realtors must not use harassing speech, hate speech, epithets, or slurs based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. They revised the professional standards policy conduct to expand the applicability of the Code of Ethics to all of a realtor's activities, not just real estate related activities and transactions involving realtors. And they revised the definition of public trust violation to include all forms of discrimination and fraud. So that alone is so concerning. And I have my phone on Facebook Live, but I don't want it to fall. So that alone is concerning because the question is, so it applies to everything I do, because that seems overly expansive. And the California Association of Realtors had to justify that no, it doesn't apply to every aspect of a realtor's personal life, but it does. So that's basically what they're saying, that it does. They want to regulate what a realtor does outside of the hours of work, how they're behaving on social media, how they're behaving, what YouTube counts as social media. So this, if they don't agree with it, someone can go against it. And just to give you an idea of what we as real estate professionals must abide by, we cannot deny equal professional services. We cannot agree to or plan to discriminate against, and we cannot, in our employment practices of real estate, shall discriminate against any person or persons on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. That's already stated and stipulated. That's understood, of course, because as a business, we shouldn't be discriminating or any prejudice whatsoever to those that we claim to offer a public service, because there's a public trust associated with offering your services as a professional. So that's already stated. So what then now are they saying is going to be added to all of this? If it's not just race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Now they're saying hate speech against any of these protected groups. Now this is at the national level. The states are stricter, but they're saying hate speech. The reason that's a concern when they say hate speech is because who defines hate speech? And doesn't that interfere with the First Amendment? So while the N.A.R., C.A.R., and the local chapters basically say that the government cannot infringe on your First Amendment right, the First Amendment does not preclude N.A.R., C.A.R., and your local association from imposing this ethical duty as a condition of membership. The reason this is a concern, because we are in a very we live in a polarizing political environment right now. And in this polarizing environment, we have basically uh, different gatekeepers, different uh, set of morals. I hate to say that, but that's when people express it. Different set of morals, in that we don't agree on the same thing. And the fact that we don't agree on the same thing presents a problem, because how can we judge something like this if we can't even agree on what possible hate speech is? And when I say possible hate speech, is because we have such loose and relaxed guidelines or definitions of what hate speech is. One group says that silence is violence, or you're hating because you're silent. And then others would say that you're being violent because of what you're saying. You should have been silent. So when the goalposts are continuously being moved by a group, and then we have supposed fact checkers that only lean to one political persuasion, that's the left, as they're the ones basically being the gatekeepers or the definition holders for a lot of these terminologies, we have a problem where this hate speech amendment or addendum to the Association of Realtors Code of Ethics can be weaponized to silence those of political persuasion. The reason this is concerning, as I mentioned before, is because for those of you that have been following me the longest, I've shared statistics in the past week of how big tech has been censoring even my channel. And I've been covering a lot of news because that's what I do, news. But I was being targeted by this, and not just targeted. I was being demonetized. So that means my views could not generate revenue for me, but they can generate revenue for YouTube. So I couldn't make money off my own videos because YouTube said they didn't like what I was saying because it was controversial in nature, just because I was saying some gotcha words in it that they didn't like. Well, to just go to the extreme things, well, just to show you how extreme things have gotten since election day. We're still in election day, but election day officially November 3rd. And because the media has said the election's over when it's not, these big tech companies have moved in such an aggressive way to clamp down on dissension and controlling information that it's become really difficult to kind of break through that ceiling of suppression that they're doing. So you heard about it. You heard about Facebook, which is Instagram also, or Instagram is Facebook. You heard about Google. You heard about Twitter and all those things. Have you heard about MailChimp? No? Are you familiar with PayPal? Maybe so, right? Are you, oh my goodness, I don't know the exact words, but over something. I don't want to mislabel a company. I don't want to dox them. I'm not trying to. But when you have a situation where you have even MailChimp, which does all our email blasts, when even they're removing their user base because they don't agree with their political leanings, how's that not a concern? How are we supposed to get word out to our base if even MailChimp is getting in on this because they disagree with what's being put out there? Oh, GoFundMe. GoFundMe is another one that's been weaponized. If they don't like who you are and what you're doing, they can freeze your account and stop all withdrawals, even though it's a fundraiser, and they have done it. PayPal's done the same. It's like they want you, it's like all these big tech companies want you to be part of a social credit system that so long as you rank and file with their ideology, that you will be okay to use their services. So that's why I say, how are we supposed to know that this code of conduct or code of ethics and standard of practices expansion to include a realtor's personal life, their activities on social media, forums, comment sections, and everything outside the purview of business, it now falls under their jurisdiction? Because, well, Realtors is a brand. We want to make sure that the brand is maintained because, we have standards and ethics and integrity, and we don't want that brand to be soiled by your activity while you're out there. Well, then who is defining these things? On One of the sections, the frequently asked questions from the California Association of Realtors making the interpretation for the N.A.R., they have a section here where they're trying to define what is harassment, sexual harassment, hate speech, and all that. And they reference, in similar fashion, Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines hate speech, epithets, and slurs as follows. Now I'm going to go through it. You can go yourself. But look, I want you to be aware of something that's happened. This happened in mid-October. And for those of you watching on YouTube, I'm going to share this right now. I'm going to share the screen for you to see what I am talking about. How many of you have heard of Amy Coney Barrett? I'm sure you probably would have. And in early October, we had the moment of her confirmation hearings. And Senator Hirono, oh good, it's working. Senator Hirono from Hawaii was grilling her on certain things. And it came down to Amy Coney Barrett responding with using the expression sexual preference. So when Hirono responded to, what's her name? Amy Coney Barrett, she said, oh, I just lost the article. Let me go back. She said that Amy Coney Barrett was being insulting because sexual preference itself is demeaning to the LGBTQ community. Well, because of that instance, and I was sharing the article of USA Today for your reference. So now I'm going to switch over to Webster's Dictionary for those of you watching on YouTube, so you can see what I am talking about. Webster's Dictionary, which is supposed to be an authority because they define things. Webster's Dictionary defines preference as the act of preferring, the state of prefer, the power of opportunity or choosing, one that is preferred, the act, fact, or principle of giving advantage to some over others, the priority in the right or demand to receive satisfaction of an obligation. Number 5 is a new thing that they did because of the confirmation hearings. Number 5, offensive? That's the definition of preference in the sense if you're using it towards orientation. So there's a section here that you click to see the paragraph usage below. Usage of preference. The term preference as used to refer to sexual orientation is widely considered offensive in its implied suggestion that a person can choose who they are sexually or romantically attracted to. Folks, if even an authority can change the definition or usage of a word because of a sect of people that keep trying to change definitions, like what Hirono was doing. Never heard of someone saying that preference was somehow insulting, but now it is. How do we know that the National Association of Realtors, with their code of ethics to include an all-encompassing hate speech, will not weaponize it as a political agenda to silence dissenters or make their members rank and file with their belief systems? We've had to walk on eggshells already to be very careful because of the ever fluid nature of things with the law when it comes to the standard of practices. But if now they're including hate speech, who is defining that? When you have fact checkers only being left-wing fact checkers, and Senator Hirono again this week talking about authorities like Media Matters as a way to say that there's no anti-conservative bias. Excuse me, Senator Hirono, you were the one that was calling for Steven Crowder to be deplatformed from YouTube for having done nothing wrong. But there's no conservative bias. Never mind that more senators are coming out saying that we need to silence more conservatives. We need to provide more censorship and curb dissension. Or how about this one? A California Democrat named David Atkins. This is from today, by the way. He is a regional director, California Dems. He was elected the DNC member. He put this up on November 17th. No, seriously, this is a tweet. How do you deprogram 75 million people? Where do you start? Fox? Facebook? We have to start thinking in terms of post-World War II Germany or Japan or the failures of the Reconstruction of the South. This individual is basically calling for some kind of a re-education camp of sorts for those that did not vote for Biden. So if we have one side that's controlling definition of words, that's imposing their will on others, how do we know who's behind the enforcement of the policing thereof, of the code of ethics and the standards of practices at the National Association of Realtors that will gradually make their way down to what's their names, the state and the local associations. Because not only are they saying that, where is it? Let me find this for you. Not only are they saying that they're going to apply to the personal lives. They, where is it? I had it here. It underscores our commitment to greater accountability, culture change, and better training. Accountability is the real key. We recognize that we have to do more to self-test and correct issues when we see them. We need to take a tough look at how existing patterns reinforce each other, and we need to improve the training we provide for our members. Now, where is the part where they want? There it is. The association and all realtors should take positive action to remedy decades worth of inequality. This is from a video that was posted to the National Association of Realtors, Fair Housing, where the new N.A.R. president, Charlie Oppel, I think that's his last name, Oppler, he was making his introductory statement saying he apologizes for the racial injustice laws that were enforced by National Association of Realtors decades ago because of those mistakes are having effects to the present. Well, they're calling basically for accountability. They're basically wanting whistleblowers and snitches to report their fellow realtor that's not falling in line to the local association so they can be reported to the state licensing bureau for disciplinary action. And in the case of a broker who has individuals working underneath them, if that individual that works underneath them gets disciplinary action, the same as applied to the broker because he is blamed for not doing enough to control said person, as if the broker is the father of this individual and has to micromanage everything they're doing at their personal level. Folks, this is an overexpansion and application of these rules. How do we know that a competitor realtor is not going to use it against someone they don't like? I happen to know a lot of realtors that are my complete political opposite, that we do not agree on anything except maybe the weather. But how do we know they wouldn't weaponize it against someone to try to take out their competition? This is important, especially when the board is saying that realtors should report other realtors for disciplinary action, for hate speech. And like I said at the onset, thank you for those of you that are joining. And I said at the onset, when you have a group of people that say silence is violence, and then when you speak up, say what you're saying is violence, then what am I supposed to say? You're supposed to say what they want you to say. So again, I ask, who is in control of the policing of the code of ethics and the standard of practices at the National Association of Realtors? I've done some preliminary research on the new president for the N.A.R. coming in for 2021. And I don't like what I've seen so far, but I'm going to say that for a follow-up video if I do that. But everything, including in the video that I heard that was a webinar for us realtors today, I did not like what I heard in the sense of what they're intending to do. Now, am I against the code of ethics or standard practice? Absolutely not. Like I said, I'm also a business owner. Outside real estate, I have another business. And I had to put my foot down in my own business early on when I became a manager because like, whoa, these rules are so relaxed. This is not a harmonious or safe environment for all my employees. There's some jokes here that cross borders, So I had to put my foot down. And before I came along, the previous manager had to make sure that the individuals that were there were not getting into religious debates all the time because they all come from different backgrounds. So I understand that and I am all for it. And as someone that's a professional that understands that, hey, if you're offering me a service, I hope you're treating me fairly, not just because I'm an Hispano, but because I'm also a human being. I'm expecting you to treat me as a human being when I come to your store, when I ask for your services. Man, I've had people be racist against me. I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about other people of color, including my own people, have been racist against me too for XYZ reasons. I didn't stop to ask why they hate me. It's like, fine, I'll go shop somewhere else. That's how it's been. And for myself, I treat others the way I would want to be treated. So the only clients I have turned away are those that have asked me to break the code of ethics, that have asked me to break the standard of practices. Like, I want nothing to do with you, nothing but trouble. I don't know if they were just trying to test me or whatever. I'm not taking any chances. You go that way. I'm not going. I've had clients ask me, would you share some of your commission? I cannot do that, and I will not do that. I say, hey, can you give a kickback to your fellow coworker? I can't do that. That's illegal. It's like, I worked really hard to get my broker's license. I spent so much time and energy and money and countless sleepless nights trying to get my license as a broker, not a sales agent. So I have more at stake. My neck is literally on the line. And now I'm being presented with something that is basically an extension of big tech censorship, the mainstream media controlling narratives, and now basically suppression of speech. Because as the question is one of the frequently asked questions that was posed to or trying to be answered by the California Association of Realtors legal team, does the standard of practice restrict my ability to freely express my political and religious opinions? N.A.R. has clarified that to violate Article 10 as interpreted by Standard Practice 10.5, a realtor must say something that is truly offensive and intimidating to a person because of their membership in a protected class. Saying something that is merely controversial or politically incorrect is not a violation of the Code of Ethics unless it includes harassing speech, hate speech slurs, or epithets that target protected groups. Political and religious opinions that are expressed by members in a respectful manner will not be actionable under the Code of Ethics. Folks, if you don't know me very well, let me spell it out for you. I'm Christian and I'm conservative. By mentioning those two things, I am already considered part of a hate group, or two hate groups for that matter, because I'm a Christian and a conservative. That's automatic. So again, I asked the National Association of Realtors, who is in charge or who will be in charge of policing these code of ethics and standard of practices as expanded for public trust at an individual level, where you will be combing through social media forums for these comments and things if they're a realtor. And that is why I say, yours truly, moi, my days as a real estate professional might soon be coming to an end. Whether it's because they crack down on this because someone disagrees with me, or because I finally get tired of the direction that, including the state level here, the association boards have been going. Because for the past 12 months, I have been at odds with the state association here in California because I blamed them for the statewide rent cap, and I was present for a meeting where they basically threw in the towel, refusing to fix a mess that they themselves made. And my local association board, along with the state board, that are responsible for Proposition 19. And at Proposition 19, when it goes into effect in the new year, and I'm already set up or setting up meetings with my attorneys at Living Trust, because we need to talk about this. If this ultimately ends up destroying Living Trust and it affects everyone like that, and because we lost the tax benefits of passing on our real estate property without reassessment fees to our children or grandchildren, and we lost those rights, that is at the feet of the association boards of the state and the local chapters. I was against the grain this whole time, against them. So that's what I mean. That they're basically, the Association of Realtors is basically saying, rank file, do as we tell you to, or you don't work with us anymore. I refuse to have my voice taken away. So if someone at the board of directors of the National Association of Realtors is watching this, or the California Association of Realtors, or the Pacific West Association of Realtors is watching this, you need to give some kind of reinforcement to your members that have been faithful for so long, that this code of ethics and standard of practice will not be weaponized to silence political political descendants or of people of religious differences, different walks of life. We need to know that we can still be ourselves. But if you're telling us that our private personal life is no longer a private personal life because we have to be ambassadors for the Association of Realtors, well, you're going to hate me because so far this year, I have not been an ambassador for your brand because I've been against the positions that you have placed in terms of getting Proposition 19 passed and also your screw up of the statewide rent cap here in California. So by that nature, I have not been a good ambassador for the brand. What I have done is try to help my community, to keep them informed, to help them with their options during this whole lockdown situation, what they can possibly do if they're tenants or property owners or investors. I've done everything I could for them. During this year, I can't tell you how many clients I have lost. I had a net loss in clients instead of net gain. It's been a terrible year in that sense for business. But I put that all aside to try to help the community because that's the code of ethics that I wholeheartedly believe in. I didn't care who they are, where they came from. I don't judge them for whatever particular class they're involved in. I see them for the content of their character. And everyone has reached out to me for help. I've given it to them. And I will not let an association board that seems to be trying to clamp down on political or religious or let's call it political because it screams political. If they're going to weaponize it for politics, then yeah, you're going to lose me as a member. Whether you kick me out or I leave voluntarily, we'll see. But I need you to be clear. And I'm speaking for all of my other colleagues who have looked the other way, are not paying attention to what's going on. Your voices need to be heard too. Because as soon as you hear that, maybe Alexa or Google listening into you like, oh, I don't want big tech listening into my private life. Well, why would you let the Association of Realtors at the national level have that power over your life too? We have moving goalposts for definitions. Let me give you one last example, and that's what I'll leave it with because I got to go. A friend of mine works for the public school district. I'm not going to say which or where. And she, over the summer, I saw her changing her name a lot on Facebook. I'm like, what's going on here? Are you having a crisis of conscience? Not just joking. She said, no, my union is scouring through the socials to basically dox anybody that is saying things or doing things that they don't agree with. Like, wait, your union is policing you on social media? Yes. And they still are. And technically, I am a member of multiple unions. They do not pay me anything, but now they're telling me that they're going to control my personal life. Now, while they say that disciplinary action can only happen and a claimant that complains has all the burden of proof, again, I say, who's going to judge it? When we do not have a basis to agree in. It's going to be a he said, she said, and find out who the arbitrator agrees with. Look, before lockdown, there was like 30,000 agents in Orange County alone. Believe me, there will be those to weaponize this to eliminate their competition. Anyway, I need to express that. I recorded this previously, but like I said, I don't know if these documents I could have shared with you. So I want to respect also that if I cannot, I will not. But I needed to talk about it because the censorship is going higher. And how convenient that big tech, mainstream media have been censoring, and all these other tech companies you never heard of that even we rely upon, and now Association of Realtors boards and other corporations are expanding on this because they believe the election results have gone one specific way. Fascinating, isn't it? It's almost like a hive mentality. And like I said, when there's people calling for something to be done for those that did not support the Democrat platform this election, I thought we were aiming for unity. So where's the unity? When you're literally calling for re-education, or in some cases, calling for the deaths of those who do not agree with you. Yeah, I have concern about hate speech. There's people making threats against me simply because I don't agree with them politically. So that's where I'll leave it. I don't know if this stream is still up on YouTube, but I thank those of you that have joined me on this one. I do got to get going, so I'll leave it at that. And if you can't find a stream thereafter, it's because YouTube's been shadow banning me. My streams don't pop up. I'm not the only one this is happening to. Big and small, like that's been going on. So that's where I'll leave it. Thank you so much for watching. I will not be silenced. I can promise you that. And if you see me disappear from YouTube, follow me on Rumble. I'm at rumble.com. I'll be leaving links on my YouTube videos while they're still up. So yeah, that. And also follow me on Parler, where I can express myself a little freer for now. That's it. Thank you for those of you that were watching on Facebook that couldn't see my screen shares, but thanks for tuning in. This is Andres Segovia. I'll see you on the next one.